You need to buy an Xbox before it's too late. What is up, y'all? I'm Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff. The latest news, rumors, games, accessories, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's about Xbox in some way. And in today's video, we're going to talk about some uncertain, dark times looming ahead for Xbox and what it means for you as a fan. It seems that, once again, we are living through uncertain, troubling times. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Rocket Money. There comes a time in every YouTuber's life where he has to get serious about his finances, about his money. For most of my life, I didn't really take my finances seriously. I either had money in the bank or I did not. And then I started progressing in life, as one does, started being able to build up some savings. But one day I sat down, I thought about it. I was like, I should have a lot more money than I have right now. Where is all that money going? Like, I make this amount of money a month and I have this bill, I should have a lot more leftover money. Where is that money going? Luckily, Rocket Money was able to answer that question for me. It was able to tell me, hey, you're spending this much money on subscriptions. Do you remember what those subscriptions are? Here's a reminder. Do you even want those subscriptions? Do you even use that anymore? Hey, if you don't want it, you can cancel it yourself, or we can maybe do it for you. Rocket Money can also help you make a customized budget so you know where all of your money is going at any given time. No surprises. It'll identify what you spend the most money on per month and give you certain tips and insights to help manage your money better. It can even give you an alert when you have an upcoming bill and your balance is low in that account so you can prevent any overdraft fees. If you want to take control of your finances, you can go on over to Rocket Money's website. I'll have the link for it down in the description, or you can scan this QR code so you can check it out for yourself. Thanks again to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. The world was like, yeah, you liked 5 years ago where there was like a global pandemic and economic uncertainty, all sorts of other crazy stuff. Let's go ahead and run it back. And that uncertainty, especially the economic stuff, has unfortunately seeped into the video game industry. Now, I'm generally a positive guy. I have a very distinct pleasure and honor that few people have in the world. I get to make content about games and about Xbox full time. That is my job. And when I look at my life through that lens, when I feel stressed out or I feel, like complaining, I'm like, why am I complaining? My life is pretty easy and pretty good compared to so many people around the world. I've said this on the channel before, but I look forward to making these videos. I like to entertain and engage people and take their troubles away for however long they want to watch. But life isn't always sunshine and rainbows, and sometimes you gotta talk about the uncomfortable, hard stuff. And while the gaming community, they are never afraid to share their complaints, one of the bigger worries that has popped up over the past couple of weeks has been the price of video game hardware and the games themselves. Specifically, the fact that they seem to be on the rise in a time where people have less money, people are losing their jobs. Nintendo sort of kickstarted this whole thing, but it affects all publishers, studios, platform holders. Obviously, when they revealed the Switch 2, everyone was like, this looks cool. There's like some cool stuff, but $450, $500, $90 for physical games, $80 for digital. They're charging extra to upgrade the Switch versions of the games that you already own to get the next-gen features of the Switch 2. That last point, if you're an Xbox fan, must sound absolutely crazy because every time Xbox has made a game backwards compatible, whether it's from the 360 or Xbox One generation, if it got some sort of next-gen version, we have always got that for free. I remember I wanted to do a segment about Assassin's Creed Origins before it came to Game Pass, and I was like, that's a couple years old. I'll just buy it on the Xbox store. It was full price. It was a full $60. I'm like, no way am I paying $60 for this. I saw that it was like $8 for a pre-owned copy over at GameStop. It was the Xbox One version, but still, when I got the disc, picked it up, came home, put it in my console, I got the next-gen patch for free. It's yet another example about the value and the freebies that Xbox throws our way. But we may be coming towards a time where we might not be able to enjoy those freebies or as many of them as we used to, because there's a very good chance that these price increases that we're seeing from Nintendo and other platform holders may very well make their way over to Xbox. The other day we got news that Sony made the tough decision, quote, tough decision, to raise PlayStation 5 prices in a bunch of different markets, including the UK, Europe, New Zealand, Australia, due to a backdrop of challenging economic environment, including high inflation and fluctuating exchange rates. In Europe, they're going ahead and raising the price by about 11%, and there's a very good chance that due to certain policies being passed here in the United States, that the price of a PS5 could increase here as well. This is the second time in like 4 years that they've raised the price of a PS5. And now the last time they raised the prices, Xbox went out of their way to say like, we're staying firm on our prices. We feel really confident about where our hardware is at, and we think it's priced very fairly. I am unsure if that is going to be the case this time. I think it's very likely that we see a number of price increases over on Xbox's side as well. They're no stranger to bumping up the prices on us either. They've raised the price of their consoles in certain markets in the past. They've raised the price of Game Pass, obviously. And while I'm not an economic expert, I'm not a political expert, again, I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel that talks about video games and Xbox. All it takes is a simple Google search to see that Xbox makes most of its consoles in China, which is important to know considering the certain economic policies that were happening here in the United States that I was alluding to earlier. If the cost of making these consoles are going up, if the cost of importing them to different markets from China goes up, the cost of distribution, Microsoft, Xbox, they are kind of in a unique position to get screwed, because we know that these current consoles, the Series X, the Series S, they operate on just the worst margins anyway. We've known for many years now that Microsoft loses money on every Xbox sold. The idea is that they're okay with losing money on every console sold because they're hoping over the time that you own the console, you'll spend several $100s on games and subscriptions. Enough to justify that initial loss of money, that initial investment they made to acquire you as a customer. This is something that's been talked about a lot over the years. Peter Moore, the guy who used to be the Phil Spencer of Xbox, he laid it out for us clear as day in multiple interviews. So if the price to make and distribute these consoles go up from Microsoft, they're gonna be like, damn, we're losing money already, now we're losing even more money. The reality is that $200 to $300 loss that people throw around, it's definitely gone up over the years without any of this major tariff, trade war stuff happening. If you look at inflation from 2020 to 2025, it seems like $500 back in 2020 is the equivalent of about $620 now, which makes me, this makes me sick. Like, would you pay $620 for an Xbox Series X? And I love my Xbox Series X, but do you think it's a $600 console? If they came out with the Series X today and it was $600, imagine what the next generation Xboxes, the PS6, are going to be priced at, especially when you consider the pricing of the PS5 Pro. People are over here complaining about $450 for the Switch 2, when easily, after everything is said and done, the PlayStation 6, the Series X successor that we keep hearing about, easily going to be at least $600. And in the likely event that Microsoft needs to raise the prices of the Series X, the S, what kind of effect is that going to have? Already we see them struggling, console hardware sales dropping quarter after quarter. If they're already seeing a drop in sales, if they raise the prices, there's no way that people are going to buy them after they increase the prices again. I was reading somewhere that Sony's price increases, they only relate to the digital Series X, but the price of the physical edition is going to stay the same. There's a possibility we may see something similar from Xbox. Maybe they raise the price of the Series X, but they keep the price of the Series S the same, so they can say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we had to raise the price of our Series X consoles, but if you want a cheaper option, the Series S is always there for you at that $300 price point. Maybe you can even get it cheaper if it's on sale. This current situation kind of goes against everything that we are traditionally used to seeing from a console life cycle. Usually, as a console's life winds down, we get to the end, we start to see the prices come down a little bit. We start to see cheaper alternatives come out. But this generation has been anything but normal. We started off with these historic console shortages, and now we're ending it with more expensive consoles. And Xbox, they can't go any lower. They can't introduce a cheaper option. They already did that at the beginning with the Series S. They can't pitch down any further. And it makes me wonder if these price increases, if this global economic craziness, if it has them thinking at all, man, should we bother making these consoles at all anymore? anymore. There was already talk that Xbox was trying to move on a little bit early into the next generation, maybe as soon as 2027. Do these new economic challenges mean that Microsoft is willing to move on even earlier, cut the cord on this generation sooner than we thought? Will this accelerate the death of the Xbox console? If they're losing a crazy amount of money making and selling these things, if it's becoming a pain in the ass to navigate all of this global economic craziness, will there come a point where they're like, screw it, let's just ditch consoles? We've heard a couple of times, like these big CEOs and presidents and stuff declare that the console wars are over. Journalists get in on it. Oh, the console wars are over. We heard Phil Spencer talk about it in all of the FTC investigation, court drama involved with the Activision Blizzard acquisition. Sean Layden weighed in on this the other day, and he was like, yep, console wars are definitely over, and we're worse off for it. We've seen over the past couple of years that Xbox is definitely interested in supporting this like console-less version of their gaming division. You don't need an Xbox to play games. No, you can play them on your TV, on your phone, on your laptop, on PlayStation 5, and maybe even on the Switch 2. You gotta imagine someone at Microsoft, it's probably not anyone who works at Xbox, but someone at Microsoft is saying, why even bother making and selling consoles when we can just make games, people can stream them to their TVs, people who have PCs can download them there. We don't have to deal with any tariffs, we don't have to deal with any distribution craziness. We can just cut straight to the money-making part, which is people buying our games and subscribing to Game Pass. In a weird way, this is kind of like, it must be sort of validating for Xbox, because over the past few years, they've been doing so much to try to grow beyond just the Xbox console, try to expand their presence on PC, continuing to work on cloud gaming, expanding their presence there, working on a mobile storefront, trying to break into the mobile gaming market, and every step of the way, people have been critical of them. No, you should just focus on the basics, focus on the consoles, focus on the exclusives. And now, if things continue to go this way, people need to raise the prices of their consoles, their games. The cost of a freaking Xbox goes through the roof. They have this option to where, like, you know what? We may have needed to raise the price on Xbox consoles in order to make it make sense for us as a business to keep making them. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to buy one of our consoles. You can continue to play our games in all of the ways that I was just talking about. If the prices are raised on current Xbox consoles, if the new Xbox consoles come out and they're super expensive, suddenly Xbox making sure that their games are playable on devices people already own, like phones, tablets, computers, whatever, doesn't sound like such a bad idea anymore. If the price of games go up, physical or digital, to 80, 90 to 100 bucks, suddenly Game Pass, even Game Pass Ultimate at 20 bucks a month, doesn't sound like a bad idea anymore. I'm really hoping that that doesn't come to pass. And I've spoken to that a lot of times on the channel before. I like my Xbox console. And while I do like playing my games elsewhere, like on my ROG Ally, through Remote Play, through cloud gaming, I do want there to be an Xbox console. I don't know if I'm gonna have to pay $600, $700, $800 for it in the future. That might make me rethink things, but I still want it. But I guess we'll just have to see. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you made it this far into the video, consider subscribing. Help me on my journey to 200,000 subs. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.